Peace and blessings, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, Queen Auset here. And today, as you can see by the title, I wanted to talk about establishing some healthy habits. This is just for me, for myself. Maybe you could take something from the tips that I'm going to share. But these are things that I'm going to implement or try to implement this year, 2021. I want to say, first of all, before I begin, light a candle and give a few minutes to Simone Breziando, the creator of the Andikra Oracle. She transitioned on Tuesday. Ibaye, Simone. May the ancestors, of course they are welcoming you with open arms. You have made such an impact on the community. Your work, your smile, your energy will not be forgotten. If I haven't learned anything from you, that would have been problematic, considering I took a class with you just 2 weeks ago. But your transitioning is a reminder that life really is short. And that sometimes we can waste the time that we have here wrapped up, caught up. Things are going to play out as they are going to play out. Human beings are going to do what they feel compelled to do. And unfortunately, their behaviors and their acts tend to be selfish. But it's 2021, and today is Thursday. And, I've been thinking the past few days about what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. This is not a depth year in that sense. This is not me paying attention to or looking at what was my favorite. Everything was my favorite. I loved everything about 2020. I loved everything that I acquired, but I have a lot. I acquired a lot, and now it's time for me to sit with some things. So I have a list of 8 habits or things that I want to implement. Now, granted, these would apply to my sewing, my first love, that sewing hobby. But I spent the past couple of days figuring out how to transfer this over into tarot and oracle and your spiritual growth, because that's what you come here for. Or maybe just come here for the experience of just engaging with me. So this is all of me. All right. So Breziando, Simone Breziando, creator of the Andikra Oracle. And as I said, I took a workshop with her about 3 weeks ago to hone my abilities of recognizing and working with Andikra symbols. And if you watched my walkthrough of the Onye Tarot deck, it was mentioned that the Andikra symbols were part of that deck as well. So I did plan for this year, 2020, to delve deeper into my studies, figuring out, working with these symbols, the energies of these symbols, applying these symbols and this language more in my life, doing what we need to do to progress and move forward, at least for me, working with the tools that I have at my disposal right now. So, yeah. In order to move forward, sometimes we have to go back. Okay. So, tip number 1, I am going to buy only what I need. And I know in theory it sounds really good because that's what we should. So that's what we should do. In regards to decks, I have decks that I have received that are still in the shrink wrap. I have the modern goddesses. I have the antique. I have so many. They're out in the living room. I haven't even taken the shrink wrap off of them. So is it this FOMO, fear of missing out? You know, what is it that causes me to hit that buy button? And so the deal that I've made for myself, because that's what we do, is that I can't buy any more decks unless I sell some of these. See how I'm tying this in? I've got a gazillion patterns that I need to move on. I can move them on, make some money, put that money aside to buy the decks that I want. So, confession time, I'm already in the hole. I have purchased 2 decks for the month of January, and I backed a project on Kickstarter. That funding won't happen until February, so I'm in the hole for February. So I've got a lot of catching up to do. And see, me speaking about it publicly, you know, I mean, no one's going to force me to do anything, but I'm a woman of my word, and this is a challenge for me. I want to see what I can do with certain limitations. You know, freedom comes at a cost, and sometimes for me, this freedom to acquire and buy anything I want leads to a place of overwhelm. Okay? So, that's how I'm going to work out. Only buying what I need. Frankly, I don't need any more decks. And you might not either. You know, if you have a standard RWS, TDM, or a Thoth, you're pretty much covered. You can throw in, let's see, an Oracle deck, and you're pretty much set. And from there you grow, right? I know that sometimes it could come down to deciding which deck, right? Because they all look so gorgeous and all of that. But I'm gonna work through some things over the next couple of days. Hopefully, before the weekend, I will come in with something that may help, at least for me. Okay. Oops. Now we have a situation here. All right. Everybody wants to get wayward. It's Thursday. It's that energy. Anyway. Okay. Number 2, start and finish one thing at a time. Let me go back to number 1, which is only buy what I need. Actually, I don't need to. I'll do that another time because my girlfriend and we talked about I have enough fabric to last several lifetimes. So I really don't need to purchase any fabric. And so far today is January 7th. I have purchased, I know, at least 18 yards of fabric. I'll discuss that in another video. Okay. So the premise is that I will make something before I buy fabric. But we're going to see what happens here. Okay, so on to number 2. Start and finish one thing at a time. So in regards to my sewing, I tend to have a lot of projects going on at the same time. And in the sewing world, it's what is known as UFO, unfinished objects. Unfinished projects, unfinished. We start something, we lay something out, and then, you know, season changes or squirrel happens, you know, we move on. So as far as tarot is concerned, start and finish. So I bought this book when it first came out. I bought the book. I have 2 copies of the deck that Tom Benjamin uses in the book, the Marshmallow Tarot. And then last year, he has a course. And I bought the course. And do you think I sat down with that course? No. I glanced at it. But this year, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get through this course and I'm going to work through this book. This has been on and off my to-do list since the book came out, 2019, Tom, if you're watching this? Let's see. Okay. Hopefully not that long ago. Let me see. 2017. 3 years. 3 years. Yeah. Time to get on it. I have several TDMs. This is a great guidebook. I don't know what's holding me up. Let's see. You know, I really hate when the camera is crooked. Hold on. I don't want you to get dizzy. There we go. All right. That's crazy because the tripod is crooked. But let's leave that. Okay. Number 3. Practice, practice, practice. Okay? Different techniques will increase your confidence. Practice, practice, practice. So, when I work with this TDM, and I do work with it a little bit, I just need to flesh things out and practice with it some more. But I have a lot of divination systems, geomancy, dice, ohms, like pendulums, so many. And the only way to get good at using any of them is to continue to practice. So it's just like in the sewing world. You know, you keep practicing something until you get it down pat. You know, for many years, move that up out of the glare, it was difficult for me to do bound buttonholes, put linings in jackets. It was difficult. It's something that you learn as you go along. But with practice, you hone your skill. And I've been sewing for many decades, and I'm still learning. That's the beauty of sewing and tarot for me. You never stop learning. You never should become so proficient at everything across the board that you become jaded and bored, right? So what I want to do with all of this is I want to fall back in love with tarot again. I want to fall back in love with the potential of what divination, this form of divination, can bring to my life. That's where I'm going with all of this. Okay? So let's see. On to number 4. Measure yourself before starting a project. Now, as a sewist, as a human being, those of you who don't sew, you buy clothing off the rack. Some months you buy one size, and some months you buy another size. You know, things happen. Your body changes for the positive and maybe the not so positive. Doesn't matter. So as a sewist, and this is something I've always neglected to do, and this is how I ended up buying patterns in different size ranges, because I neglected to check my measurements with every project. I don't do that, but 5 years ago I was one size, and here I am 5 years later, and I'm another size pattern-wise. And even that psychologically was part of the reason why I had stopped sewing. I could not come to terms with the way my body had changed, and my hours moved around. I'm just going to put it to you that way, because I believe everyone has an hourglass figure. It's just that hours, sometimes are more in some places than others. So my hours shifted around. So now I have, I'm going to leave it there. Okay. Number 5. Face your fear and do it anyway. So, for some of you viewers, Some of you passerbys, maybe you've always wanted to start a YouTube channel. Do it. If you have a deck that you love, and this deck has been out for 10 years, share it. I love watching deck walkthroughs and reviews from another person's perspective. I love to see when people bring out decks that I've had on my shelves for years, and I could see it through their eyes, you know? Let's see, what else do I have here? Maybe participate in a hashtag or two, or a video response or two, just to get yourself out there. You don't have to have a ton of decks. Work with what you have, and that's the beauty of it. Share yourself. Connect with others. Like I said before, practicing, learning how to do buttonholes, you know, it's very fearful to do bound buttonholes because that is a separate process in itself, and once you slice into that fabric, there is no going back. You may as well almost trash the project. Okay? Let's see. Number 6, learn one new thing with every project or such that you do. Okay? Learn one new thing with every deck that you make or buy. Learn about color symbolism. Learn about the conversations that the court cards have with each other. Pull all of your decks together and pull out all the court cards. You know, Renee of Meadowlark Mystic, she did a comparison of the Three of Swords. Learn something new about your own decks. Just like we learn something new about when I'm sewing, you know, different types of interfacing, zipper applications. I'm always looking for the fastest, easiest way to do something. I'm the type of person, I don't do slow sewing. I need to be able to finish project in a weekend. That's a coat, that's a gown, that's something. Like I need to be able to start it and just about finish it over a weekend. So let's say you're stumped with something in regards to taking your tarot practice, your tarot education to another level. You can always get a book like this, Journaling the Tarot by Andy Matzner. In this book, he has journal prompts for every card in the deck. So there's more than enough to whet your appetite, more than enough to keep you interested. Every card has at least, oh gosh, I'm looking at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The High Priestess alone looks like she has about 20, 25 journal prompts. Such as, what is waiting within you to be realized? What is your next step? In what area of your life should you hold back? Or let's take a look at the Ace of Swords. Does your self-talk create liberation or suffering? What decision must you make? Why is it a good idea to move forward with it instead of procrastinating further? So, that book, Andy Matzner. Take a look at that. Okay? Number 7, learn your personal style. Pick a card. Is that your style? Pick a card, pick a pile. Do you shuffle and cut? Do you shuffle and cut from the top, middle, and bottom? Do you shuffle and pick 3, 5, 7, whatever cards from the top? Maybe your style of decks are not animal decks, or maybe they are. Maybe you like, as we say, pip decks, or what I like to say, a blend of pip RWS decks. Maybe you like black and white decks. Maybe you like full color decks. Maybe you like decks that have that 70s vibe, you know, with the heavily saturation in there. Find your style. what doesn't fit your style, just like when you're going through your closet, move it along. That's what I'm doing with the decks that I have. I'm moving them along. I mean, I'm moving them along with a sense of melancholy because I did like them. I do like them. But you know, we grow, we outgrow, we change, right? Lifestyles change. Let's see. And once you find your style, shake it up a bit. Add some flavor. You know, jeans and a t-shirt. Put on a nice dress shirt or dress slacks or a skirt or something. Same thing. Same with your tarot practice. You know, you guys have watched me. You know how I shuffle cards. You know how I pick cards. What I like to do. Right? We all have our own style of doing things. You know I like to pick my cards this way. Find what works for you. Know your style. Look at that. Find what works for you. Go on that inner journey. Hone your style. Even if you're beginning from scratch. Even if you have to begin from scratch. Maybe you never thought about it before. And last but not least, appreciate what you have. Appreciate what you have right now, right here, at this moment. It's important to understand that comparison is a thief of joy. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye. And I'll see you in my next video. Take care.